Hey, Eileen, can you hear me?
Hi.
Let me put the
Oh my
volume.
gosh, it feels so good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too.
Still adjusting, same as you. Like anytime people ask me about the trip, I can't articulate it well
Yeah,
enough. And I'm
I can.
like, I just need the people that I was there with.
I know. I just end up picking individual events, but that doesn't do it justice because as a
Yeah.
whole, it was so epic.
Mhm.
I like the background with the flowers, the wall.
Oh, thank you. That's my
Yeah,
office.
I'm just in my basement right now. I can't show it. Wait, I can show you like a little bit. It's just my basement.
Mm.
Nothing too.
Very
I like it
nice.
because it's cold down here. It's really hot right now,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah.
know Tennessee is gross. And it just got sunny, so soccer got canceled for no reason.
Oh yeah. Oh, the
But
rain clouds disappeared.
yeah, like
Okay.
as soon as they canceled it, the sun came out and we're like, well, oh well.
Yeah, it's so hard to predict weather.
Hmm.
Um, okay, I have some questions prepared, but I guess I'll start off with just like oh, you can introduce yourself and then we can just start talking. I have some questions, some very basic questions. I didn't have much time, but it's basically going to be a casual conversation and
Love
we'll see
it.
where it goes. But yeah, okay.
And elephant conservation as a veterinary technician.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I remember your picture for your welcome intro was you putting like a catheter in an elephant. That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
After
elephants.
I posted it, I was like, oh, I hope I don't gross people out with this, but that's what I do.
So you're a vet tech and you want to dive deeper into elephant conservation, which is why you were very interested in this EE. And we saw
Yeah.
tons of elephants, so that was
Yeah.
awesome.
I think too, this EE really appealed to me because I wanted to hear from the people side of the human elephant conflict.
Mhm.
I've read all the papers, but they tend to be more from the perspective of elephant conservation. And so it's really important for me to understand it as a whole, which I feel like we really got to understand that during this trip.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how many elephants we saw on that game drive in
I know.
Amboseli.
I tried to keep count for a while and then I gave up. There was just too many.
Hmm. I have I'm drinking green tea right now. I have a lot of like half completed art pieces around here. They're
Nice.
they're stressing me out because like
What kind of art?
well, just for example, I do a lot of sketches. Like this one's a jaguar. It was a rough one, but
That's
it
right. I forgot you're such a good artist.
yeah, I like it. I like to do it. I think the more you do it, you anybody can learn to like replicate with their eye what they see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
I
like it.
really think, sorry, I interrupted
Oh,
you.
you're good. You're good. You're good.
I think you should reach out to pathologists
Oh yeah,
for
you said
real.
that on the first day, I remember.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's really something that's lacking in a lot of our exotics textbooks
Hmm.
that drawings is like the best thing we have.
Gotcha. For me, I just love to do it where like it increases my appreciation for a species. Like just like I didn't get this down the way I wanted to. Like his head is not proportionate the correct way. So just doing the same one again and then again and then again and then
Yeah.
you just see like how the improvements get made and it's really cool because you appreciate the morphology of the animal, like the jaw pressure of a jaguar is insane, which is why
Yeah.
you can see that in its head shape, and that's why I do it. I appreciate it more because like when I draw a jaguar versus when I draw a lion, that muscle isn't as prominent on the lion, and you'll
Yeah.
never really experience that until you try to draw both of those creatures. So that's why
That's
I
very
do it.
cool.
Yeah, that's why I do it. If I feel like if I did work for pathologists, they would take that out of it, where it's just like I'm just doing this for a paycheck or but if it's contingent work, I will consider that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to become a line cook at a restaurant because it's close by and
Yeah.
I have very long-term goals of owning a restaurant, like a farm to table restaurant. So I just wanted to start learning the inner workings of a restaurant, which is why I'm trying to work there.
Very cool.
You did this was your third EE. So
Yeah.
you did Belize and one more. Was it
Yep.
Costa Rica you wrote
Hmm.
on? Okay, so was your experience with those EEs compared to this one? Just free for all, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I got pretty lucky. All three times I had a really great group of people,
Hmm.
which I've heard other people's experiences that the group can really like make or break the situation at times because I do think, as we should be, anything with conservation, sustainability, there's not just one approach to it.
Yeah.
And everybody doesn't always agree on that approach. And so when you don't have a good group with you to delicately discuss the variances within conservation, I feel like some people don't feel like they have a safe place to voice their concerns, or, they
Mhm.
don't feel like they can have a controversial opinion, which I think is the beauty of these trips. Like, we need to hear that controversy. We need to
Oh
see
yeah.
all the different options that are out there and discuss them. So, yeah. So I got lucky. All three, great group. Um, Costa Rica was very heavy into ecotourism, which is something I'm really interested in. And then Kenya obviously was the human wildlife conflict, which was like a puzzle piece I felt like I was missing from my master plan.
Gotcha. Yeah. I like how you say that those conversations, the controversial ones, are needed because um, I have some controversial opinions, I guess, but they're all for the best solution for our ecology. And I try to explain it, and I didn't do a good job at explaining it in my first EE. But this EE, like you said, I felt like it was a safe space, and a lot of that had to do with that first day when we introduced ourselves and we played that game and I said like how we should how different groups should hear each other out, like vegans should hear out regenerative farmers and that should happen. I feel like I did a good job at just like explaining my stance on it right off the bat so people understood, and you actually helped with that because you like came up to me that night I think and you were like, yeah, I don't have any problem with meat eaters and hunters as conservationists, and that you think they're actually more connected than the average non-hunter. So yeah, thank you for that.
Definitely.
That made me feel like
Yeah,
it was a safe space, and it was a safe space. I just didn't I had like apprehension because of my first
of
EE.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, even from the other perspective, like, as somebody that doesn't eat meat or dairy, I also get attacked a lot. And I've always found it really curious. Like, people that are attacking you for hunting, or people attacking me for choosing to not eat meat, it's very confusing because to me, like, we're choosing, this is a way of life for us.
Yeah.
It's something that, like, we believe in, it's a part of our lifestyle. And it just seems so odd that somebody else feels like it's their place to, like, attack it instead of being curious or asking questions, or,
Yeah.
so I felt bad when you said that you felt attacked by vegans in the past. I think that's why I don't attach myself with that label.
Oh yeah.
I tend to, like, say, I don't eat meat or dairy, or, I try to live like a cruelty free lifestyle. Like, I'll tend to not call myself a vegan because there is such a negative connotation with it because of people really abusing it. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't like that.
And wait, are you a vegetarian or no animal products at all?
No animal products at all. So
Okay.
technically, I'm a vegan, but I just
Yeah.
choose to not use that term.
Yeah. And see, like I'm like open-minded to a vegan diet, vegetarian diet. I've actually tried to do no meat for like a month and just like I
Mhm.
told you, like just to see what happens. And it's not like something major happened. I could barely tell a difference. It was just a slight difference I could sense. And I feel like if I tried it again with a better diet, better sourcing of ingredients, I would do it. I would feel better because it takes time. You can't just do one trial run and
Yeah,
so it's like I'm open-minded still to vegan diets because there have been like hunter-gatherer tribes that have had little to no meat at all for
sure.
generations and they were healthy. And I mean, you're healthy. You're like really healthy. And I don't know how much of that is for how active you are, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's because you're active, you're healthy as well.
I also think it's body specific. So just like any person's diet, like I think I have issue with influencers when it comes to, like, diet and exercise, because they're almost making it seem like it's a one size fits all. And I don't think that's true. Like, I think
Sure.
you kind of have to find, like, what exercise plan works for you, or diet plan works for you, or lifestyle choices. And so I don't know. I also think it's ridiculous. Like, if somebody says, oh, I'm, trying to eat less red meat, and somebody's like, oh, I don't eat any meat. And it's
Yeah.
like, why take that away from that person?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
What made you make the decision to not eat any animal products? Has that been your whole life, or you just made it a decision one day?
So I gave up meat. I was really young. I was like 8 years old.
Okay.
So I found out that meat was animals. And I think I just always known that I was going to work with animals. I've had just this strong connection for as long as I can remember and just overly, in tuned with them,
Mhm.
sensitive towards any type of suffering. Um, and so as soon as I found out that meat was animals, I was like, okay, I'm not going to eat meat anymore. So I was vegetarian for a long time, but
Mhm.
I didn't give up like dairy and all of that was kind of a slow transition. Like I kind of cut out milk and then I, cut out yogurts and then cheese. And it was just kind of silly. Like I was kind of holding on to cheese and I was like, okay, like
Yeah. Mhm.
I've given up everything else. I can give up cheese too. So then that's only been probably like 6 years.
Oh, that you gave up cheese. Okay. Well, that's
Mhm.
very interesting. That means you went at it from a place of love for animals. That's like I
Yeah.
respect that a lot. And it happened young for you, so that makes sense. Yeah. That's awesome. Like I also like obviously I love animals, like, but I just feel like I am a part of that of the ecosystem. I'm just another
Sure.
and yeah, that's like my mentality toward it. But obviously the actual shooting and killing part, it will never be easy for me and for all like legitimate hunters. We don't enjoy that part of it and we try to minimize the suffering. We do all we can to minimize it.
Yeah.
But like I also don't eat a whole lot of meat. Like the way I explained it, it seemed like I was like carnivore diet, but I have like a Mediterranean diet. Like it's maybe
Yeah.
25% of my plate meat. And then it's like carbs, vegetables, fruits,
Hmm.
honey, everything else. But yeah, I just have like a balanced diet, I guess. And hunting is something that I've recently got into. I've always been fishing. There's a fishing pole right there. I've
Yeah.
yeah, I've caught fish. I've eaten fish because in Michigan, this is one of the best states in the country to fish in. We have so many lakes, and I've just had so many camping trips up north with friends, and we caught monster fish, and we ate it under the stars on the fire. So some of my best
Nice.
memories are from acquiring food from the wild, essentially.
Yeah.
I want to live my life like that for the rest of my way, sustainably harvest from the wild and
Yep.
just be part of it. Yeah.
This
Um,
is where, like, I think there's such a disconnect because what you're describing, like hunting, fishing, gathering your own food, is one of the most sustainable ways that we can have a diet,
yeah.
sometimes even more than a vegan diet. And I think, like, people hear hunting and they immediately, like, want to go up in arms. And to me, just like we talked about, like, it's so much more sustainable, more conservation minded, more animal minded than going to the grocery store and getting farm factory meat that we
Yeah,
all
exactly.
know, like the way that those animals were treated. And I kind of am a firm believer that you are what you eat. And,
Same here.
if you nourish your like body and mind, like you can live a really healthy life. And I just, those farm factory meats, like it kind of scares me thinking like, well, if we are what we eat and we know that those animals had fear and pain and then you're ingesting that, like I don't know, I know
I'm
that's
a
like
true
hokey,
believer.
but it
Yeah.
still just
No,
it
I
freaks
sounds
me out.
legit. It sounds legit to me. Like it doesn't sound hokey to me because like I think if the animal's scared its whole life in a 2x2 cage and all the hormones that its
Yeah,
body produced and then you ate the meat of that animal, yeah, it's not I wouldn't want to eat that for too long. Obviously, it's very hard to avoid in America, so I
sure.
also don't want to like shame people. I've had people be like, "Well, it
That's
costs
true.
so much." Yeah. But honestly, you do a little bit of shopping around and hunting around for like the best price ratio for like best you can get, and it's only like
Hmm.
20% more expensive. And
Yeah,
yeah, and you're paying for like how it makes you feel. It gives you more, you have more energy throughout the day. It's
sure.
definitely worth the payment, I would say, just to be a healthy human being. Like you can't put a price on health because it's your health will translate over to everything else you do throughout your day.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And you'll pay more money. Like I think in America, our food structure is so flawed, and there's a lot of inflammation in our foods because it's bad oils and really processed. and all of that. And so it just feeds into it. So then you have that inflammation in your body, you get sick, take a medication, you have a side effect to the medication. Like I just think it's this big cyclical system that for me personally, I do think it starts with diet and exercise.
Yeah. And exercise is huge too. Like even if you don't have the best diet, exercise will um like cover up for a lot of it. But when you combine the two, like when you have great diet, natural diet with exercise, then it just really sets you apart and you're like really healthy. Everything you just mentioned reminded me a lot of this guy on YouTube, Paul Saladino. This video he posted on like he picked apart a McDonald's burger and he was
Yeah.
explaining everything, all the seed oils, and he explained like seed oils have linoleic acid, which causes inflammation. So,
Mm.
and that's so much ingrained in the American grocery stores. Almost everything has some form of seed oil, even breads.
No,
Yeah. And
it's
it's
so hard to eat healthy now, especially it shouldn't be a privilege to eat healthy, but that's what it feels like. It feels like food is just getting more and more expensive,
yeah,
especially like the foods that are deemed more healthy are more expensive. And it's so sad. It's sad that that's not something that like all of us can just go to a grocery store and get food that's going to nourish our bodies appropriately.
yeah, yeah.
But
And I've eaten a lot of like good natural food, a lot of like plant options in my Brazil EE because they use
mm,
beans and plantains and everything, and there's like a
yeah,
good amount of protein in there. I feel like you would really enjoy the farm that we stayed at. Lily, our professor Lily mentioned, actually it was Lily or someone who mentioned that it was like the Encanto, from the Encanto movie, that farm.
yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
it's an awesome farm. I loved every meal that we had there, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was all farm to table, and they use agroforestry, so they plant trees in a way with like the ecosystem in mind. So
Yeah,
not much animal. They didn't have too much animal agriculture. Like they had chickens and stuff, but they were kind of being kept in cages, which I didn't really understand. But it
yeah,
was better than pumping them full of antibiotics and stuff. They weren't doing
sure.
that. Yeah, and they let them
Yeah,
out. They let them out, but they had like designated times back in the cage, back out. So
yeah.
far, yeah, the best farming system I've ever seen was Joel Salatin, and Will Harris, the rotational stuff.
Hmm.
Especially Joel Salatin, honestly, like his structures are all mobile. So they're mobile. You can move it from one place. They all have wheels. So like when
Yeah,
one area gets overgrazed, you just move the whole thing over, and now they have a new patch of grass while the other one heals. So it's like overgrazing doesn't occur, and he's actually mimicking natural cycles of animal migrations, and that's like
yeah.
the perfect system, I feel. That's
It's
where,
so smart.
yeah, I agree, and he's inspired a lot of my like chicken tractor builds because we have chickens here. I
Yeah,
built I built like a rectangular chicken structure that's lightweight that you can just lift it and drag it over. And I raise chickens every summer, like from chicks up to the full
yeah.
size, and they're so like they're expressing all their instinctive behaviors. They get to pick the grass, find the bugs, play tag. They chase each other. It's
Yeah.
so awesome. Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so they have like great access to just being a chicken, like allowing a chicken to be a chicken. Um,
Yeah. I want chickens
oh
one
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I
Do you
want
have,
chickens and I want to garden more. But I keep telling myself maybe after I graduate, like I need to really like dedicate myself to it because I'm not really good. I'll like plant things and then I never check on them again. It's like if they survive, great.
yeah.
So I need to
Okay.
be better at that.
Yeah, I need to learn more about gardening because I'm so obsessed with the animals. I pay attention to how animals impact plant communities, but I don't pay too much attention solely on the plant communities. But
Yeah.
they are very interesting, and I love plants, so I just want to learn more about them.
Yeah. Same.
Um, one second. So, oh, I had another question. Since you love elephants and elephant conservation, did you end up visiting Sheldrick, the elephant nursery?
Did.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Before or after our EE?
Yeah. Before I was part of the crew that got really delayed on the way there, but I made it in time. So I was able to go. There was like five of us that left at 10 instead of 7, but we made it
Yeah.
there in time.
Okay, gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I feel like you would like that.
Yeah,
You-
I've been a fan of theirs for years, follow like all of their work. I think what they do is incredible
Hmm.
and it didn't disappoint. I wanted to be able to see more and like ask more questions, obviously, but everything we saw was great.
You were like up at the edge where you could touch them and stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't ever able to get close enough to touch them because there's always like a row of people in front of us.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah,
It was great to be there, I bet.
what I liked seeing too is so because I'm so passionate about ecotourism and part of my master plan is how to avoid animal exploitation in ecotourism because I feel like it tends to get more and more into the exploitive side because I think it brings in more people. And so what I liked and appreciated about Sheldrick that even the people that were able to touch them, the elephants did not care about the crowd at all. They were Sheldrick and a lot of places we went in Kenya, they were so good at not allowing the animals to habituate and
Yeah.
they used their clothing to really make that part of it. So everybody at Sheldrick had that long green trench coat and a white hat on, which nobody in the audience is going to be wearing. And so the elephants only went to them.
Yeah.
They like did not care about the audience at all, which I just thought was incredible.
Yeah,
So
it
it
is.
didn't feel exploitive at all. The elephants seemed so relaxed and calm.
Yeah, because I
And
know like in American zoos, it's taught to not allow everybody to come pet an elephant. So it was
yeah,
probably like weird for you guys on that side of the situation to see that. But it was done pretty well, you're saying?
yeah, I think it was done really well. And
Yeah, I think so too.
it's always good to see those things. Like in Costa Rica, I had a couple of instances that teetered onto the exploitive side, and it was
Okay.
really hard for me. And I had to kind of sit with it and process it and, figure out that ecotourism, it's not perfect and there's still a lot of room to grow. So it was great. Like every place we went in Kenya, I feel like they balanced it so well. Like Cisco's walk with the baboons, I couldn't like brag about that
Yeah.
enough. It
Okay.
was so
Yeah.
great. It
I
was
like
like
that one.
ecotourism at its best. It was so incredible.
Yeah, and then the stuff he covered on that same walk about the medicinal plants. So cool.
Yes.
He
So
covered up
cool.
for us. I don't know. He probably showed the same plants to everybody, but for us, he showed us these leaves that help blood clot better, and that
No,
he didn't show you guys that.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, he showed us like 3 or 4 different plants, and one of them helped your blood clot if you got a cut or whatever. And the Maasai women, when they give birth, they have a lot of that because they're obviously
Yeah.
not going to the hospital. They're just going to do that.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool that the
That's
medicine
so cool.
The medicine for that's there. There's medicine for every little. I had like 4 pill bottles, Tylenol, ibuprofen, and Dramamine. Ended up not using anything other than the Dramamine for motion sickness. So like I asked him, are there like alternative plants to these pills that I have? And he's like, he looked at every single one and he named a plant, even for the
Yeah.
Dramamine. I was like, there's
Yeah.
a motion sickness plant. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I know. And it's funny. So many of our pharmaceuticals derive from plants.
Mhm.
Like Western medicine is still at its root, it's like plant based in a lot of ways, but we've just figured out a way to manufacture and then sell it, because we're such like a consumer driven country. But plant based medicine, whew, that is like a huge passion of mine. If I
Yeah.
could like figure out a way to combine all of my passions into one job,
Yeah.
my life will be made. And I try to do it
I
with the
feel the same
elephants.
way.
Like I'll try to look at more natural routes, like anytime something comes up with one of the elephants. But I think that's where it's tricky too, having non-native species in the
Mhm.
United States, like where elephants in the wild are probably able to know what plants to eat when they're feeling a certain type of way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, in North America, they don't have that luxury. So it's
Exactly.
tricky, but
I'm also trying to combine all my passions into one thing. And for me, obviously, regenerative farming covers it all because you're just trying to enhance your local ecosystem with how you produce food. So I'm not like focused on one thing. And obviously, I'm focused on like poultry and cattle, I guess, and their rotational grazing methods. That's the focus. But I get to be impacting and enhancing the ecosystem. So that's what I'm leaning toward. But I haven't found out like this is what I do yet. I'm finding my style of video. Like I want to move into more of the health and wellness space on YouTube where I'll be just standing in the frame in the shot, maybe without a shirt, got all these foods up and I'm ready to talk about them, similar to what Paul Saladino does. So I know there's a lot of potential in that, especially because if I get into the health and wellness space on YouTube, I can kind of help connect bridge the gap between like ecological farming and eating. It's hard to do that properly. It's like a lot of people eating has nothing to do with nature, but
Yeah,
you have to deliver that message properly. And I have some scripts in mind that I think
nice.
they're definitely the best ones I've ever written, and I'm narrowing down my passion for the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Um
think too, it can feel really overwhelming. So having somebody break it down for you.
oh
I
yeah.
use YouTube for like everything, especially
Yeah.
like now that I own a home. Anytime something goes wrong in my house, I'm like, okay, I'm on YouTube and I'm like figuring it out. It is such a
I love YouTube.
incredible platform to get
I've
information.
learned more on YouTube than I did in school, honestly, because
Yeah, yeah, I would agree
I
with that.
I like to learn just when I need to learn something like on my own, not
Yeah,
when it's like required learning, because that's like true
yeah,
education, you know. I have these, I don't know if we'll get around to it, but I was gonna ask if you are like a reader, if you read books.
definitely. I read all the time.
Okay, I was gonna show you like what I'm currently reading. Right now I just got this, so I just started this. This is Phil Jackson, his 11 Rings book,
Oh, nice.
the basketball thing. I love basketball, and I'm mainly
Yeah,
going to read this to obviously know his story and learn about like leadership because this is like the best example of leadership in sports history, you could say. That one, I got this. Um, I don't know if you like Eminem or not, but
love Eminem, obviously.
okay, awesome. I freaking love Eminem so much.
When you and Lauren started rapping his song, I was like, yes, these are my people. This is great.
and then I fumbled the verse, but it's all good. I'm not a rapper. But this guy has influenced my life and so many millions of others. And
Yeah, let me know how that one is. I didn't even know he had a book.
this is the best out right now. It's not like a better one could be written,
Oh,
but yeah,
he didn't write it.
he
Okay.
didn't write it. This is a journalist. He's a great journalist, but
Okay.
this was on the front shelf of the newest Barnes and Noble in my city. A new Barnes and Noble was built.
Barnes and
And
Noble is real dangerous for me.
oh yeah, I know.
I also have an app on my phone. It's called Thrift Books.
I love thrift books.
Oh my God.
Use it
As
too.
soon as I found that, I was like, this is even more trouble because now I'll buy like 5 books. I'm like, well, it's like the same price as one book.
Yeah, I always lean
Yeah.
toward Amazon because Amazon just like slices the price and like
Yeah.
60% off sometimes. But I mean, I have a big shelf and it's almost full and I don't have too many books. Like when I buy a book, I it's when I really want it. And
Yeah.
so yeah, this one I'm reading and
Nice.
even behind me, I don't know if you can see that. This is one second.
Okay.
This is a vinyl. There's a lot of vinyls here. I got a vinyl player. This is another vinyl and this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm
That's
like
awesome.
Rachel is too. We were
Yeah.
talking about him on the vehicle. And
See,
then I
this
got
is just such a cool group. Like
yeah.
this group, even though everybody was like so different and we had all different age ranges and everything, like this group was just great.
Yeah. I know.
Like anytime
It
I
was
sat next
awesome.
to any other person, I was like, oh, cool. And you could just like chat away with them.
Yeah. I think I also became a much better listener too, and that helped. Like I wasn't just waiting to say my next thing. I was actually listening, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and that helped
Yeah.
me a lot.
You
To
feel like you did that on this trip or prior to this trip?
on this trip was a lot of like exercising it, but like before the trip, I didn't really like have access to big groups of people and talking with them all day. But yeah, since we were all together for over a week, I was like talking less, and when I did talk, I made sure to like use up the time well. It was a lot of practice for me as like a for communicating with groups of people. Yeah,
That's
and
great.
people will like you more if you actually listen, not just wait to say your thing, you know. And I learned that.
Did you notice that in Africa, when the Maasai people would talk to each other, the way that they would show that they were listening, how they would make like a small sound, They were just
I
like,
did not. Oh,
mm. And it was just really cool. Every conversation, or if they disagreed with somebody, instead of like chiming in and being like, oh, I disagree, they would change the inflection in the sound.
yeah, I know. I did not notice, but I
It
believe
was
you.
it was really cool. If you have any video of when they were putting on the drama for us,
Hmm.
they do it in that too. Like when they were like mimicking the adults, the kids like so you can get like a little taste of it, but it happened all the time. And I
Okay.
just found that to be really great because I can get excited and I'll interrupt people. I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just like my brain is all over the
Yeah,
place.
because like
But
sometimes you get a thought and you're not going to remember it because it's like has to do with what they're just now talking
yeah,
about, and you have to like yeah, it's hard, especially
it
if it's
is
something
hard.
you really are wanting to mention in that moment. You have to
Yeah.
like backlog it and then bring it back up.
Yeah.
But it's good. It was like a good mind exercise. But I'm
That's
almost
really
done.
cool that you did that.
Yeah, I'm almost done with showing you these books.
Yeah.
Three more, but this one I highly recommend for any conservationist. Um,
Okay.
yeah, this one is recent, and the person who wrote Braiding Sweetgrass, Robin Wall Kimmerer, she wrote the
Yeah. I
she's
love that
a
book.
old author.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, I mean, this is going to dive very deep into natural history in North America as well as indigenous people's knowledge.
Nice.
Highly recommend. And
Yeah.
last one or two more. This one's from based on my trip in Japan. After I
Yeah.
came back, I started reading this book called Musashi by Eiji Yoshikawa. It's just a storybook about a warrior. He's a samurai. He was a real person, but this is the closest reenactment recreation of his life. But a lot of
Yeah.
information about his life is lost because we don't even know his birth date and stuff. But he did defeat 60 plus samurai in 1v1 samurai battles, and it was to the death. And it's
Whoa.
just like, yeah, it's like, what are the odds of him not getting killed out of 60 times? He must have been a legend.
Yeah.
So they wrote a whole book on him. And he was actually not like, he wasn't out to get people. He was just saving villages from samurai,
Yeah.
rogue samurai and stuff. Because there was a time of Japan's history that it was a lot of corruption, and the whole shogunate system led to people in power exploiting like people not in power. But he would just go village to village and just save the villagers and like kill the bad guys like a movie. It's crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's
I don't
very
know
well
anything
written.
about the samurai culture. Now I'm intrigued that I need to know more.
It is very interesting because I just know it from reading this and watching Shogun on
Yeah.
uh, Hulu, I think. Yeah, Shogun, the show is it did a pretty good job at showing the Japanese culture better than the movie. The movie wasn't the best. It was more westernized, but I
Yeah.
just got into a little bit of Japan history because I went to Japan like 4 or 3 months before the Africa trip to visit my friend. So I just wanted to learn a little bit about where I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And last but not least, I'm reading this autobiography because
Oh,
been
that's
me
so crazy. I was just talking about him today.
really Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Nice. Just like with a friend.
I was talking to my dad and just talking about actually we were like talking about plant-based medicine and just I was saying like I have the delusion where I think I can heal myself, like truly.
I
Not
think it's
saying that I
possible.
wouldn't take medicine ever or anything like that, but just we were kind of talking about that and he's like, well, he's like Steve Jobs also thought he could cure himself.
Uh, with the
And I'm
usage
like,
of his mind and stuff, or like doing physical.
I don't know the whole story, but yeah, I think like I mean he had pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I would believe that.
I
Yeah.
don't fault him. I think it's there's plus minuses and all of
Yeah.
those things.
He was just like he was such an innovative thinker and he was so good at
Hmm.
influencing people about his vision. So that's part of the reason why I want to learn it. So I can just tell people about the potential of like regenerative farming. I like to just drop parallels to people that have become very successful and see like how can I kind of apply some of these things to my life.
Hmm.
Because the book Shoe Dog, which is also not a biography, it's an autobiography memoir of Phil Knight, the creator of Nike. And
Okay.
that book Shoe Dog is was so impactful to me and my friend because I recommended it to him. It's the reason why I went off script in my life, and instead of getting an office job, and just buying a car and a house. I'm going this different route. It's because of that book. Because that's what he did. He did not go he went way off script. After college,
Yeah,
he didn't look for jobs, he didn't look for stable jobs at all. He just borrowed a bunch of money from his dad and traveled the globe for a year. And I'm like, that sounds
amazing.
like a great idea. And
Yep,
gave me I hope to do that, and I did that. I didn't travel the world because COVID started, but I traveled
sure.
the US 62 days on the road. I covered like 12 states and 6 national parks. It was like
Nice.
northern stretch. Yeah, it wasn't completely solo because I have family in California, and one of my friends actually flew into the Denver airport and stayed with me for like a week. We camped in
Yeah,
Yellowstone, went to Rocky Mountain National Park, but majority of it was alone. Over half of it was alone, and I met so many strangers, and it was a great like thing I did to get to know me and experience the country, all it has to offer. So
yeah,
I love reading. Like I wouldn't have even thought like that if I didn't read the book.
yeah. That's great.
Yeah,
I like that you're picking like leadership mixed in with the things that you're passionate about. I think that's
oh,
really
yeah.
smart. In the
Exactly.
world,
Because
like we need dreamers. If everybody's practical and on like a life conveyor belt, nobody's ever going to think outside the box.
oh
We
yeah,
won't have like half the things that have made this life worth living without dreamers.
exactly. I love dreamers inspire me, so I read up on them. And I also can't only read about conservation because I like to switch it up, like
Yeah.
switch it up to a whole different field. It's like if it seems exciting now, like now I'm reading about this tech startup, now I'm reading about a rapper, now I'm reading about this and that. And then I do obviously read about conservation, but just to switch fields, it's like trying different foods. You can't eat the same food every day, you get
Oh no, you're
bored.
frozen. Do you always read nonfiction?
I read fiction. I've finished all of Harry Potter. I've finished a bunch of like little fantasy series, Percy
Yeah.
Jackson. Yeah. And
Yeah.
most recently, Game of Thrones. I started reading the first Game of Thrones book, and
Yeah.
yeah, I love the book more than the show even because it's so much more
Yeah.
deep.
I had only read the books
Oh,
and
okay.
then I tried to watch the show, but I tried watching it just years after it had been on air. And I can't get into it. I think I've even made it to like the fourth season and I still just can't get into it. I don't know why, because I love premises like that,
The books are
but
better.
the
Yeah.
books are so good. Yeah.
I watched the show first and then dove into the books, and I think that helped me enjoy the show more. Because when I
Yeah.
first watched the show, I had never seen anything like this. I was so hooked in. Obviously, the last season wasn't as good, but I enjoyed that show tremendously. And then that got me
Yeah.
into picking up the book. So I still got to finish it, but yeah, I read a lot of
Nice.
nonfiction, a lot of sci-fi. The Jurassic Park books by Michael
Yeah.
Crichton. I love those. You've
Yeah.
have
That was my childhood.
you read the novels?
Hmm.
Wow, I haven't even read the second one yet. I'm in the process, but the first one blew my mind. It was like, this
Like
is
as
great.
a kid, those were like my first like big book
Oh,
that I
nice.
read. Yeah. And I like was hooked.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like one of the influences that got me on the career path was Jurassic Park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been highly influential for you as well, huh? It's
Hmm.
a great book.
So
What did
good.
you like about it? Was it the fact of like using genetics to bring creatures back? It just fascinated you, or the park idea fascinated you about it?
Genetics does fascinate me. Evolution fascinates me for.
Mhm.
So evolutionary biology really is something that I study a lot and just love the concept of.
Yeah,
Growing up, like as a little girl, like Dr. Sadler, the paleobotanist, she was kind of like the first female scientist that I
yeah,
had met. And I just thought she was like a badass. Like she's a badass character in the book and in the movies. And that just really like sat with me that I was like, oh, I want to do something big. I want to do something like that.
yeah, exactly. I've had other girls tell me that Sattler was one of the reasons they really enjoyed Jurassic Park.
Hmm.
Yeah, I loved her character. I loved Alan Grant. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Alan Grant was awesome, and like I want to see somebody who's a combination of John Hammond and Alan Grant. Like they got the
Yeah.
money to do the dreams because Alan Grant was always chasing grants and like he was like
Hmm.
chasing money to do the things, and then Hammond didn't know what to do out in the field. He was just a business guy, greedy business guy. So like a good
Mhm.
combination of the two, we need that.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
Alan Grant was so cool. But anyways, we were talking about books now, but let's see. My next question here. Oh, your master plan, your like conservation long-term goals, I guess. If you wanted to talk about it, and then I'll talk about
Yeah.
mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So my master plan focuses on education around animals in ecotourism sites.
Oh,
Um, with that, it's a little broad. Like for me, so zoos and aquariums aren't necessarily ecotourism because ecotourism usually involves like the local community. But in my mind, like in North America, like that's all we really have as far as like ecotourist attractions would be zoos and aquariums.
mhm.
So it's under that umbrella. And basically, I'm trying to reduce the animal exploitation that happens
In
through
ecotourism.
ecotourism.
Okay, that's a great one. And then like, does it have to do with elephants as well as with the ecotourism?
I've ended up like, because I work with elephants, I've ended up writing a lot of my papers and a lot of the bigger projects around them, mostly because there's certain species that I just believe really strongly don't believe belong in captivity, and
Yeah.
elephants are one of them. They're just so they're highly emotionally intelligent, they're very social, and then they need a lot of space. And so really like a dream of mine would be to make it where elephants no longer exist in North America.
Yeah, I did not know that was your stance on it because like I didn't have time to fully dive into everyone's thing. I thought that you guys liked the fact that there's elephants in zoos. Just from like brief little snippets I heard, but it's cool. That's why I do these podcasts. Now I know why. Now I know your stance on it because yeah, I agree like elephants are just so intelligent to have our species put them in cages for our viewing. It just doesn't mix well. Um yeah, because do you know Paul Rosalie, the conservationist? He's down in the Amazon. He's gotten a lot of like name and fame now from his podcast appearances, but he
I do
also
know who you're talking about.
you yeah,
Yeah.
I love that guy so much. Like he can explain ecological concepts and conservation concepts so well to the masses. He's a great speaker.
Mhm.
But he is the one I remember who said like he believes elephants should have like their own set of laws and rules, just like humans, because they're that intelligent.
Yeah. And it's not saying like I have to really be careful because I don't want people to get the impression that I'm just anti-zoo.
Hmm.
I can't speak for other species. I only work with elephants, but I do feel strongly that elephants don't belong in captivity and they're not thriving. Like from a genetic diversity standpoint and reproductive standpoint, like they're not doing well in captivity. So I don't know why we continue to try to like prove that we can make them thrive. Like it's not happening.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You should, I don't know if you already have, but you should read the book Elephant Whisperer by Lawrence Anthony. You have
Yeah, I
read it?
have.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that book.
Yeah.
I loved it for its just being in the shoes of the owner of a wildlife reserve in Africa because I felt
Mhm.
like it wasn't all about elephants. It was about just running that wildlife reserve, and I love that book so much. It increased my
Yeah.
passion for ecotourism. It was kind of like Jurassic Park vibes because he's running this
Yeah.
game park, and yeah, it's an awesome book, very well written.
It was really well written. I think like my master plan, always think about elephants, elephant conservation, and all of that. But I also think the conservation field can be a bit whitewashed.
Yeah,
And so looking at like elephants' native countries, either Asia or Africa or continents, I wouldn't move to another area. I don't know. I like I don't know what my future in elephant conservation looks like. So if I stay in North America, I'm limited. But I also don't want to be another like white woman in conservation that like thinks that they can be like the savior. So I think a
yeah.
lot about starting like a farm sanctuary in the United States and doing like teaching people about like conservation in their own backyards.
Oh
But
yeah,
that's like such like a swing from what I'm currently doing. So,
Oh, you would have to
but it's
change.
where my mind always goes.
I see. That's a cool aspiration though, because I also want to like focus on my country because I grew up here. I feel like I want to help other countries too, but like I can't be doing that full time because I didn't even grow up there. And like there's people more qualified for that. Uh, but yeah, there's I feel like there's this guilt that white scientists have for trying to help non-white people, but I don't think you guys should feel guilty if you're actually like got their best interests in mind, you know, it's like yeah. Because a lot of white
It's
people
just hard
have
because even in our program, it's like almost every class is like all white women.
yeah,
And I'm like, gosh, are we like, is this bad? But so it's nice to hear that it's not necessarily bad as
yeah,
long
it's
as you
not
have the
bad.
right approach.
I don't even
Okay.
like see like race and stuff that much because I grew up in such a like a melting pot. My high school is filled with Indians, Koreans, Japanese, Chinese, every race. I guess over half was white, but it was like a good 30-40% was a big mix
Yeah,
up. Yeah, so I just kind of
that's
like, but
lucky.
yeah, just see the personality and like the intention. And I feel like whether you're white or black or whatever, if you like commit to a culture over time, you can build that trust and then you can do conservation projects there. It's all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2020, I learned a lot and it was really helpful. I didn't grow up with a lot of diversity. I luckily grew up with a very lovely, open-minded family. So I didn't grow up with
Nice.
any like inherent racism or anything crazy. And then living in Atlanta for 10 years, obviously, huge
Yeah.
melting pot.
Yeah.
Um, in 2020, when everything came to the surface that was there all along, but I was ignorant to it, like
Mhm.
really learning about systemic racism and even in this program, like environmental racism, like you wouldn't think that's a thing, and it is. Like it's so wild. So I think I just constantly want to keep myself in check and make sure that I stay like grateful and humble and know who I should be listening to in certain
Gotcha.
situations.
I love how cautious you are about it. I feel like you're totally fine. Like I see your intention. Like you're obviously don't have any like hatefulness toward people, and I just think
No.
it's cool how cautious you are about that. I don't know what it's like to be white, but I grew up with white friends. Like my street, it was like all my friends were white except for one who was Chaldean, but he was still a Christian. So I grew up in like a mainly Christian friend circle, white Christian friend circle, and I've come to not even think about the fact that they're white. We were just like brothers on that street, you know, because I
Yeah.
grew up with them, and that was before phones were out, so we were just every day ringing each other's doorbells, asking our parents if we're free to hang out, and like
Yeah.
going to the park together, doing stuff that young boys do. Yeah. So
That's great.
I'm grateful I grew up with like people not like me because if I grew up, so let's say in Japan, all my friends would be Japanese like me and like because like
Sure.
when I met my friend's girlfriend, she's Japanese, a Japanese woman. She said she never met like she never had like a full-on conversation with a non-Japanese person before we me him and her boyfriend had dinner, and she really enjoyed that conversation because she was like it was so like refreshing, like finally someone outside of my country and culture,
Yeah.
but I'm
That
grateful.
really like brings me back to Kenya a little bit because so I've always appreciated how the United States is there is no like founding anything, even people claim that there is, but like there's such like a mix of every religion and ethnicity and culture, and it's really beautiful. But then
Mhm.
when we were in Kenya and they were talking about what the future of their politics looks like as cultures modernizing to get further and further away from like traditional culture, I couldn't help but think that are they going to be, more similar to the United States one day? Like,
Yeah.
and what does that look like? Because in the United States, like we're kind of a mess because we don't agree upon like a culture or anything like that. So there's nothing really holding anybody accountable, which
Mhm.
makes it easy for people just to be out for themselves, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I can't get over the fact that your flowers match with your shirt. That's such a good decision.
That was not intentional. I
Oh
do have
really?
a lot of pink, but don't notice it until things like this happen. I was like, oh, my whole life is kind of pink.
Yeah, like I should have planned better my background because like you really set the standard there. It matches with your and I didn't really do much here. It's just like
I definitely didn't even think about it
yeah,
because I'm not somebody that you saw me in the car. Like I'm not somebody that videotapes myself or
yeah.
anything like that. So I
You don't think much about it, yeah. I have to
no,
always think about that stuff, especially for my
yeah,
like videos, my most recent videos. Like if you go to the oldest ones, you'll see my background sucked. But if you go to the more recent ones, you'll see the lighting is so much more improved because I'm always
mm,
moving stuff around in my background. I got it now
yeah,
down to where there's a big T-Rex skull, but it's not in focus. My face is in focus, and you can just see like the
nice.
blurred out T-Rex skull and the bookshelf. And I like that, so I've
That's cool.
just kept it. But that
Yeah.
took so much moving stuff around, and you already got a good setup.
Yeah. I really love like redoing the rooms in my house and then making them very like every room's really peaceful.
Yeah,
But
nice
each room is like a very different like color and like kind of vibe. But each room I go into like feels really like, I don't know, calming, like when I walk through them. I truly am an open book. Like you
Okay,
could, I don't mind talking about anything.
for sure. Well, the next question was you're a yoga instructor, like part-time or okay. So how is that? Is that with like a company or just you, like and your
No, so
service?
right now, um, I was certified a long time ago when I was in college
Hmm.
and taught yoga at college. And then didn't really follow that after that because I was on like my own career path. But I always practice yoga still just independently. And then when I moved to Tennessee, I just started teaching like little classes to people I work with.
Yeah.
But after school, I think I would like to make it more solid, like really like see if any of the gyms in town would want me to like offer a class a couple times a week or something like that.
I need to do more yoga. I have a yoga spot near me that I'm gonna do their free trial soon. Just because,
Nice.
yeah, I like it. I love the potential of it because it's kind of like what you said, like you heal yourself. It's like without using all this fancy medication, you can just heal yourself, learn how to do it at least, get better at it.
It really puts you in tune with your body too,
Hmm.
which I like. I like breath control and different things like that can help anxiety and sleep. And I think too, like I love healing in general. It's probably why I became, vet tech, but I love like healing people. So if somebody tells me like a part on their body is like sore, like I
Yeah.
kind of like the challenge of trying to make them feel better. And I don't know,
Yeah, I love that. I love that too. We need more people like that.
maybe one day when I open my farm sanctuary, I can have yoga there too.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a great combination.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I like really dream about the most perfect ideal ecotourism lodge, I want it to be have so many things, like maybe a little yoga session here, everything's farm to table, maybe a little room where we just you paint the landscape that you see to get the creative juices flowing in the visitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, where like if money was not an issue, you could just have like this castle of an ecotourism lodge, and it's like a net negative carbon because how it's built and how it uses the natural resources. That would
I
be
was
amazing.
thinking about it too, like the people that couldn't afford, you could have different like packages
Mhm.
and people that can afford like whatever, then they could come. But the people that want to come but maybe can't afford everything, they
Yeah.
could volunteer while they're there. So they could like stay in a cabin, but then have to like help shovel stalls or,
Yeah,
different things. I was like, you could make it really doable. Like we've gotten so far away from like a bartering system that I really think that would be cool to have that in some capacity.
I agree. Ecotourism lodges have so much potential, and I think like if you can find a way for the government to get on board where it's not just private ecotourism owners, but you have like this big pot of money where you can actually pay salaries out to like we got horticulturists here, we got cattlemen here. And it's like a big entity that just helps nature and people. That would be amazing because then you don't have to worry about the rates. You don't want to overcharge people. Yeah, that's something I'm thinking about. Like I'm just thinking about like a conservation fund for that and how to go about all that because it's a benefit to humanity and the economy in the long run. And I
Hmm.
mean, Trump Trump likes the economy, so it's like if you want long-term economy health, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say one more thing that just left my head. Oh, I recently got like when I came back here, I got a deep tissue massage because my uh calves and thighs were a little tight and sore.
Your soccer injuries?
Oh no, that went away. That the massage
Oh,
treatment,
okay.
the
Yeah.
massage treatment they did on me. Oh my gosh, it was so effective. In two
Yeah.
days, it was gone. But it was just like so much walking and stuff, and I didn't have much time to stretch. And then I got this
Mm,
deep tissue massage. Massages do wonders. It does different. It has a different effect on your muscles than stretching does.
definitely.
Because I know a good massage person here. She doesn't overcharge, and the service she gives is incredible. It's like full body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely pro massage for sure.
Do you get them around where you live, like deep tissue massages?
Yeah, I have a woman in town that I go to. I I'm pretty sporadic with when I get them, but when I was doing the marathon training,
Hmm.
my body was like locking up on me. And yoga, just like you were saying, that like deep tissue massage hits different. I could not stretch my body in the ways I needed to. And
Yeah.
when I went to her, she was like, "You are tight." And
Oh
she
yeah.
massaged me. And I had so much hip pain. And then right after the massage, I was like normal. No hip pain. Felt great.
Um, yeah,
Hmm.
especially with the exertion you put your body through for like the marathon runs and stuff. You would really benefit, I feel. I'm
Yeah.
also an active person, but not like full on marathons and stuff. I just like to train in different ways. I used to be I used to play like varsity high school sports, track and field, football. So that's when I looked the best in terms of like aesthetics.
Mm.
And I'm trying to get back to that just because it'll help me get more views on with my videos. Like if I'm talking
Yeah.
about health and wellness and I'm shredded, it has such a
Yep.
more
For
effect
sure.
than if I'm not shredded. Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost like 20 pounds almost before this EE started
Whoa.
over the course of like 2 months. But
Yeah.
it was like training every day, but like intermittent fasting sparse throughout there. It was so
Yeah.
effective, intermittent fasting, like 24-hour fast, 26-hour fasts.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I would fall out. I would not be able to do it.
The first
I
day is
eat like every
hard.
2 hours.
Oh yeah, well you burn so much and you have a high metabolism probably, so you need a lot.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like I woke up and like when I wake up I don't eat anything obviously but I'll have a green tea or a coffee and
Yeah.
it'll suppress my hunger for like half the day. And
Really?
yeah, well the first day
Wow.
is hard. The first day is hard, I will say that. You're hungry, you want to eat, but you just stay busy and you get through it. You remind yourself why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then you'll have like one more either green tea or black coffee around 5 p.m. and that suppresses your like I swear that green tea, the second one, it feels like a full meal, like the effect it has on me. Because
Whoa.
your body is so deprived, and then you put this anti-hunger thing, this hunger suppressant, is just like it's gone, and you're not even craving food after 5 p.m.
Hmm.
that 5 p.m. drink. And then I go on hikes in nature or I walk while listening to an audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just does wonders for fat burning because your body just switched to your fat reservoirs as its main energy source instead of food. So it's just using your body fat to make you walk and burn all these calories you're burning.
And you'll have enough energy during fasting to do that?
Yeah, the first day, yeah, it's just kind of hard on the first day. The second day is a lot easier. The third day is a lot easier. And then I just got into this flow. Obviously, I don't, you don't, you shouldn't do that all the time. I'm still in that process of getting back down to my natural weight, which is about 160. I'm 176 right now. So I got another 16 pounds of fat to lose. But I'm literally losing 16 pounds of pure fat. Like there's no muscular atrophy going on in this process.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I love about it because um
I
I
don't feel like you have 16 pounds of fat, but I'll trust that you know your own body. But I just,
yeah,
having
I do.
seen you for 2 weeks, I don't feel like you do.
Well,
But
that's like complete peak physique, 160 for me.
gotcha. Okay.
Greek god physique. But
Got it.
I'll see. I'm probably gonna walk around at 165, not 160, but that's like if I'm
Yeah.
really like, you know, but yeah, I do. It's like around here in my thighs and stuff,
Yeah.
and it'll show like the bottom portion of my abs better. I used to always look insane at 165. So I know if I lose like another 10 pounds of solid fat, that'll that'll get me the views.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get me the views, I'll be left with a great body. It's like a win-win, like
True.
safety
It
net.
is a win-win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the goal. And
Nice.
I just like talking to people like that are like fit and have that fit, healthy lifestyle mindset. So yeah, if we lived closer, I would join you on jogs or hikes.
Yeah. I would love that. I only have like one person at work that will run with me.
Oh, you do mainly by yourself running?
Hmm.
Okay. I will.
There's like a running club in town that I joined during the marathon training, and they were, I don't know if I would have done it without them. Like two of the guys were like, "We'll train with you," and they
Yeah.
just did all of the long runs with me, and it was incredible. It was
Wow.
so cool. Yeah.
What is like your mile pace or like yeah, your pace for like
I'm
running?
not very fast, so I'm like a 9.5.
Oh, okay. I see. But you run long distance at that pace, probably.
But even when I do shorter distance, I guess I would have to like train myself. But when I try to like pick up the pace, like I can do like an 8.5 if I'm doing like a 5K,
Okay.
but it
5K.
feels like I'm sprinting. Like
I
I
see.
feel like I'm going so hard, and then I'll look down and I'm at like 8.5. I'm like, gosh, it feels like I'm going so much faster. But I luckily I don't really compete against anybody else. I'm somebody that just does it for myself. Like the marathon was just to see if I could do it. Like it truly was just like, I wonder if my body can do this.
Yeah.
And it did. And I was like, great. But I didn't really care about the time or anything.
Yeah, you just gotta complete it. And yeah,
Yeah,
man, if I do a road trip down south, I will hit you up if we can do like a run together
definitely.
in Tennessee. Let me see on the map. Well, I'll cut this out
I'm
that way.
sure. I'm in the middle of nowhere. So I'm in,
You're welcome if you're ever in Michigan. I feel like this
yeah.
group, is like we're ready to. I know I want to visit
I think we should like
Lauren.
road trip it. Like we should plan some like reunions
Yeah,
for real,
yeah,
where we just like all clump at different people's places.
yeah. Exactly. I agree. Lauren, I want to visit her or have her come here
Nice.
because I just loved working with her to create videos and stuff. Like she was so
Yeah.
supportive for that. She has experience
Yeah.
doing that as well. Like she's great recording, great on the camera. So like I definitely want to visit her and her husband in Philadelphia. And
Same.
then anyone else if it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Her and Rachel both. We
Yeah.
had a few teachers, I think, right?
Rachel, Polly, Carly. Carly was I think she was like
Carly.
kindergarten
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do other stuff too, right? Like kayaking. I heard you did
Yeah.
kayaking that one week. Okay. Let's see what other questions I have. This talk about all the sports got me thinking again about the nickname I gave you during the soccer.
Yeah. That was so
Eileen,
nice.
Eileen the machine.
I feel like I wasn't even a big contributor to soccer. Like everybody was crushing it. People
Really?
did so good. That was such a highlight of the trip.
Oh yeah, just to be playing soccer in Kenya,
And seeing
definitely.
how much people like brought it really showed like this group is unique. Like people really brought it to the field.
I
It
know.
was cool.
It was so fun, and I felt like I didn't really know what I was doing until Kristen told me something like stay here or do this thing, and you told me something because you were the two that knew how to actually play soccer pretty well compared, like relatively speaking, with us.
Yeah.
I play basketball, so I did not know like the positions and what they do.
Would you join a team sport by you right now, do you think?
A team sport, yeah, it would have to be basketball. I just play pickup games all the time. I love playing
Nice.
pickup, but I've played on my high school team. Didn't make the team. I just played on the scrimmages because I was too small. We had some really
Yeah.
big players, and one of them's actually in the NBA not right now, but he was in the NBA for some time, James Young.
Nice.
Yeah, so we had a crazy good team, and I just didn't have the height. I had the skills, not the height. They needed height for
Yeah.
defense. Yeah, but I got a lot better after high school, and I just love the sport. I love like if anybody's willing to play, I'm willing to play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how I feel with soccer. Like I'm not the best on the field, but I love playing, so I'll play anytime. I'm like, if anybody asks, I'm like, yep, I'll play.
yeah. That's me with basketball. I just love the sound of the net when the ball swishes in. It's like
Mhm.
addictive. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's why I play. I feel like we covered that. Is there anything you want to talk about? Like, you can just shoot away as well. I'm just like reading any
I'm
topics.
like not good at that.
Okay.
This I can do because this feels like a conversation, like when you ask me things, but I'm not good at just talking about myself. I don't know. I never
Yeah.
know what to say. I'm like,
Especially the fact that we're being recorded. Yeah, it's kind of hard to do
I
that.
keep forgetting that we're being recorded if
Okay.
that
Okay.
helps.
Yeah, yeah. I'll cut out stuff too because I re-listen to the whole podcast every time I do these, and then I edit it pretty well.
And I have to give presentations a lot, like for my job.
Mhm.
And so I'm pretty used to like either a Zoom presentation where I just kind of like talk about elephant conservation or elephant medicine, like so this kind of feels like that. So it doesn't feel that dissimilar to
Okay.
what I'm used to.
Okay, gotcha. That's good for. Oh, here's a good topic that we could talk about. So the cheetah sighting that we had on that game drive, that was insane because I'm talking about the near the Leleonok Resource Center where I think it was our first or second drive, and I spotted the cheetah and the cars behind us. They started taking photos as well, but that was one of the most adrenaline, high adrenaline situations I've ever been in nature because our car was just going and we were looking for anything and somehow the drivers and everybody, nobody saw like the fact that there's a cheetah like 10 feet from the car, and it was like fully out and exposed, and it just crouched a little bit. So some grass was hiding it, I guess. But I just saw it, and I was like, I just ducked down because it was that close. I was like, cheetah, 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 and I said it at a low volume, but it was like a low scream. I was like, cheetah, 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 at 2, like 2 p.m. on the clock. Because when I said cheetah, 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 Lily started like looking everywhere. Everybody started freaking out. And I was like, at 2, at 2, at 2. And then everybody turned and we got a full view cheetah and it galloped away. And that was so crazy. And like, yeah, it was the best wildlife
I
sighting
didn't
I've had.
realize that you were the one that spotted it. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was one of my best spots. My eyes were at the right place at the right time, and it was a
Yeah.
full view. But I think it's like pattern helped with the camouflage, and everybody was kind of looking forward and left mainly. I was the only one looking straight right, and it
Yeah.
was like so close to the vehicle, and then it kind of galloped away. Thankfully, it didn't run fully away because it gave us quite a show, that cheetah. It's like
It really
walking.
did when I went and like sat on the mound. It's like this looks like a good photo op.
Yeah,
It's so crazy.
and
It does make you think though, like how many animals were out there that we just didn't see. Because
yeah.
there were so many of us all scanning and looking. But
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. Like unless you're like looking in the right spot at the right time, like it'd be so easy to miss so many things.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Can you imagine how much we may have not seen like that was in our field, a
Yeah.
radius of seeing it? Yeah,
Even like the lions, because they camouflaged in with the tall grass so well, there was probably lions like all over the place there
I know. Can you
that you
imagine
just like
hiking?
didn't see.
Yeah, hiking on foot there would be something like
Yeah.
just stumble across. That reminds me of the tall grass. I was on a game drive in Nairobi National Park after the EE, just me and my driver. Believe it or not, there's nobody else. And I became friends with my guide. His name's David. He's like 28 and he's like this really smart guide. He knows all his
Nice.
stuff. So I got his WhatsApp and everything. But on that drive, we saw a lot of stuff. But at one point, our car stopped. We were in this kind of secluded valley, and these two jackals, we were like kind of following the jackals because they were giving us a show. They would keep stopping and just kind of like hanging out nearby our vehicle. And I was just looking at the jackal. I was looking at its head. It looked a lot like a fox. It looked like a fox-sized coyote, and
Mhm.
it was just so cool. And I'm just like looking at its head shape and stuff. And then just like 10 yards further, I saw something raise its head up out of the grass. It was a hyena with blood on its mouth. And like in relation to the size of the jackal's skull, this thing looked like a dinosaur, and it just like raised its head up like that and then went back down. I was like, holy shit, that was like an
Oh my
insane
gosh.
feeling. Yeah. It was
What
like
time of day was that?
that was like noon. Or no, it was like
Nice.
11 a.m. Yeah.
Man,
It was so crazy
that's
because
really
like
cool.
when you see it in relation to stuff, it looks like if you see a hyena in relation to like next to a lion, the hyena doesn't
Yeah.
look all that big. But this hyena looked like a dinosaur because
Yeah.
I was looking at jackals, and then this thing put its head up, its neck muscles. Oh my gosh. It was like starts from the ears and it goes that
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
very
Nairobi National Park, that one, it was like a pinch me moment. Like it was really, part of it was I was really jet lagged because I hadn't really slept and I arrived at like 6 a.m. And so I didn't go to bed. I just stayed up.
mhm,
And so we went and did that after Sheldrick. So it was probably like 1 to 6 p.m. we were doing that drive.
mhm.
So I was a little delirious, but my brain like could not compute that these were I was watching these animals like not in the United States, not at a zoo or a safari park in the United States. Like this was real life.
Yeah. Mhm.
This is their range habitat. Like it was I had to like keep reminding myself like no, you're in Kenya. Like that zebra is in Kenya.
I love that. I love the passion we all brought for that. Because there's some people that just
Yeah.
don't really have that passion and it's contagious. It's like they bring you down. It's like they don't even care where they're at.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, this group was special in that we were all so fascinated by even the little things and
Hmm,
appreciative of everything nature gave us on that trip. So
for
yeah.
sure. And nobody was too like precious because this was more rustic accommodations than the other two EEs. Like we were
Mhm.
in a tent the whole time. You know, there's like the bucket shower that
Yeah.
every like third day you might have gotten a chance to use. No electricity or very like sparse electricity.
Yeah.
And I was fine with that. And you probably were too as somebody that camps, but I was a little nervous, like just knowing if everybody would be okay with it, and everybody was.
Yeah,
Like, I
we
didn't
just didn't
hear
complain.
anybody complain about anything.
Yeah, that was cool. For me, I
Hmm.
feel like it was the hardest, like, who do I go in a tent with here? But I wasn't, I was nervous about it before. And then after
Yeah.
we got started, I was like, this is fine. Like, Sydney was a great roommate. And I was just kind of looking out for her. I was focused on her health because she was pregnant. So I was like, if you need me to bring something from the table, which is way down there, and I was asking her stuff like that. And I feel like I didn't cause her any harm. She didn't cause me any like harm with sleeping, like snoring and stuff. We didn't cause
Yeah.
each other any disturbance, and it went so
Yeah.
smooth.
You guys were real troopers about that. I was really impressed by both of you.
Oh yeah,
Because that is like, you put on the thing beforehand, like who you prefer to room with.
oh
And so
really?
obviously none of us put
The only
that we
guy.
cared.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Wait, we had that option for like who did we want to room with?
you can I think like when they place you in the EE and you're accepting it, you put like if you have any dietary restrictions or things like that, and they will ask like if you prefer to room with like male, female,
Oh, now I
non-binary, like
remember. Yeah,
because that way if somebody didn't feel safe,
yeah,
the professors, but that means like if the professors didn't attempt to assign anything, that means that all of us were like, we don't care,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is
That makes
cool.
sense. It is cool. Now I remember that question. I think I just put anyone in anything because of this. Like, I just want to be good for the situation at hand, you know?
Same.
Yeah. But it was an experience, like getting woken up, just camping out in an African ecosystem. Crazy. Getting woken up
Hearing
by
like
the
baboons
sound.
scream,
Yeah.
hyenas, yeah,
Oh yeah,
rangers, it
exactly.
was a mix.
The
Yeah.
hyenas at around 4 a.m. woke me up multiple times. Like you'll just hear
Yeah,
off in the
almost
distance.
every day. Almost
Yeah.
every day I think I woke up at like 4 or 4:30. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm awake now.
And then the rangers start going and then the baboons, all types of sound. It was like
All sounds.
it was crazy. I got about 5 to 6 hours of sleep every night. That's enough
Yeah,
to
same.
function. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was like between like 4 and 6 most nights. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And the hyena
I
sound
didn't
is so cool.
feel tired at all though.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I think the days were so long and stimulating that like you didn't really have time to feel
Complain.
tired.
Yeah, and like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I
just
was
keep
like,
going.
just keep going.
The hyena sounds were so cool. Like that
Hmm.
little whoop that they give. Jaren is very good at recreating it, but it's like woo, woo, that type of howl
Yeah.
comes at night. It was so cool.
Somebody in our group has some good recordings. I don't
Okay.
remember who,
Yeah, I gotta
but
also
there's,
start sharing in that Google Photos album thing.
yeah, I want to see everybody's photos.
Yeah,
Mine don't do it justice because my phone didn't take good pictures, but
that's fine. I mean, I couldn't take advantage of distance either. It was mainly like us and the things right in front of us that I could really
Yeah.
capture. Yeah. The Maasai people,
There
I
was
could,
enough people with like good cameras that I didn't worry about it. I'm like, somebody will share.
yeah, somebody will share and I will give them credit if I end up using it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the giraffe ones, the giraffe shots were great.
Yeah.
So land management is, I just wanted to mention, is one thing that Aldo Leopold mentioned in Sand County Almanac. He was very like, he took his time on mentioning that. So I think that's very important. Like so much land is just private owners and how we manage that. And a lot of that is agriculture. Agriculture is like, I think a whopping 40% of all land in the US is agricultural land. So how we manage that is huge. Ties back to regenerative farming. But yeah, I'm sure you know, you've probably read Sand County Almanac or
Well, and it's so funny because I almost included one of his quotes yesterday when we were doing like the reflection. I like his opinions on conservation, but his approach to like land conservation in general, like where he really thinks it's kind of like ludicrous that people like are these huge plots of land owners. And he's like, well, like none of it, like who determines that you own that land? You know, like he thinks it's so
yeah.
like arbitrary. So I like his approaches to it.
Uh-huh.
Um, one of my friends here does like is really big into like soil restoration, has a very big business here. I'd have to look up the name.
Mhm.
Um, but it's local and he's incredible.
Okay. Yeah, I
He
would
did
love
like
that.
hemp farming for a while and then switched to agro farming. And he has
Okay.
like buffalo on the property. Like
Oh
he
wow.
really he travels all around like the country.
Like
I don't
bison
know.
he has on his property? Oh wow. I'm always looking for bison farmers to work with
Wait,
to,
no, I
yeah.
think he has buffalo, not bison.
Okay. Well, I mean, what species buffalo? Because sometimes bison are called buffalo and you get like different species of buffalo.
Let me think if I can think of the
Yeah.
name,
Oh yeah, no problem.
and then it will tell me because now I'm doubting myself.
Yeah, because buffalo and bison are completely interchangeable, but there are different species of bison. I mean, buffalo.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's confusing.
Beyond Hemp is the name of it.
Beyond hemp. Let me see if I can find it. He's got a website.
Todd Vincent.
Okay.
Yeah, he's really cool and really knows his stuff.
Okay. Yeah, anybody that has bison, I'm willing to like get to know them because I love bison. They're dinosaurs.
Yeah. I don't see a website though. Isn't that crazy?
Maybe it's like temporarily down or something.
Maybe.
Oh,
I'll have to ask.
I found his
I'm
website.
really, oh, you
But
did find a website.
it's on
Okay,
his
great.
LinkedIn, but
Perfect, perfect.
it's domain not claimed. So it's a
Oh,
Squarespace website. So he's just got to fix that, but he's got it. He's got the website.
okay, cool. I'm good friends with his sister
Okay.
and I'd known her for like a couple of years. And then one day I was like coming back from a trip and I was on the plane and I got sat next to this guy who ended up being Todd.
Okay.
And he's like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I was like, "Oh, I live, this really small town. You probably never heard of it, Hohenwald." And he's like, "Oh, I'm in Summertown, which is like the next town over.
Wow. What are the odds?
What are the odds?" And we started talking about like conservation, like all this stuff. He was great, plane rides over. And it wasn't until like a year later that his sister Laren like made the connection because that we like met and it was just so wild. So
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Todd Vincent. Okay, yeah, I will try to like maybe contact him. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of farmers like that, like that are hidden gems throughout the US. And
Hmm.
yeah, I love finding them and getting to know them. That's how I stumbled across a farm in northern Michigan called Serendipity Farms. I went to Traverse City in the fall just to like be out in nature and like journal and produce some work. Some of my best work has come out there, like creative writing stuff. So I was just trying to like chill in a cabin in northern Michigan. And then on my way back from that trip, I just saw a sign that said organic farm, Serendipity Farms, and I just visited the farm and I met Wendy Babcock, the owner. And the moment we started talking, and it was all just like back and forth about regenerative farming. And then I mentioned a little bit about the benefits of regenerative farming, and she was like, "Oh, now I got to take you out there. Now we got to go." And then she just dropped what she was doing, and she gave me like a full farm tour. She was the nicest lady.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we became
That's
like
very cool.
really good friends in that meeting, chance meeting. And then now she's part of this documentary that I'm working on regenerative farming. Her and like four other farmers. But that's how I met her. It was just like completely like if I didn't pass that sign, I wouldn't have known. And her farm is also like a one of those hidden gem type farms. It's so beautiful. Like the way she produces food, she just needs more publicity, I guess, because she's
Yeah.
not too good with the social media and technology and stuff. So yeah.
It's tough, like to really have a business like that thrive. You really do need somebody who's solely dedicated to like your website, social media, content. Like
Yeah.
you need like a full marketing person. But you're so good at networking.
I know. I spend a lot of time doing it. Just
Oh,
like
hold on one second. I think
okay.
my dog is like having a meltdown.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, no
I've never
problem.
seen him like he like really had to go. I've never heard him like have a meltdown like that.
Oh shoot. What breed is your dog?
Oh, he's a mess. He's like a shepherd mutt thing that I rescued in town.
Awesome. I like rescues.
Hmm.
You have like someone you live with or oh just
I
you?
live on my own.
Okay. How is that? You enjoy like just being on your own right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, when I first bought this house, my friend Jeff moved in with me. And so he lived here for like 2 years. And that was, you actually remind me a lot of Jeff on
Oh
the
really?
trip. There was like a few times that I was like, huh.
He was
And that was great. He was like my best friend.
I had no I mean I didn't really hear the stories. I just heard that they were really funny. Eileen's previous
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah. They were curious. I was like, oh God, okay.
We should just hop on a call sometime just to chat, not to like
Yeah.
podcasts.
No, for real. There's something different about the friendships you make in this program that
Mhm.
they're just like, they're deeper. They're on a deeper level. You kind of like know the person's beliefs and morals and values. And
Yeah.
I love staying in touch with people on this. I talked to somebody from my Costa Rica trip earlier today.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Nice. I have a podcast scheduled with a person I did an EE with last summer, my friend Steven. We
Nice.
really connect. We became really good friends. So I'm gonna hear his Thailand stories, and I'm gonna share my Kenya stories with him. Yeah.
Awesome.
And
I love that.
Ashley and Dom, I'm gonna send them a link, and then there's someone else. I'm just scheduling them out slowly so I don't get
Yeah.
overwhelmed with the editing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like we
Am I
just
your first interview from Kenya?
yeah, you're the first.
Sweet.
I don't know if I'll post this, but like you really helped me feel at home at that in with that group like initially right off the bat. I'm like, wow, I
Good.
here I have a vegetarian or vegan, whatever you want to call it, person saying that I am totally fine talking about this stuff. And that gave me like courage to talk about it to the whole group more
Good.
genuinely. Because I always feel like I'm walking on a tightrope. Like, what if I say something that will scare them or something? Like I'm some animal killer. But I think you know that that's not the case. Like with how I view
Yeah.
animals.
Well, I think it's really exhausting to not be able to be your authentic self. So
Mhm.
like anybody that feels like they're on eggshells or things like that, that like breaks my heart. So like I think I like try to seek those people out. I like want everybody deserves to feel really comfortable and like
Mhm.
they can speak without people jumping down their throat. So as
Yeah.
soon as you said that, it like broke my heart a little. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I knew because they bring up diet a lot on these trips because they have to accommodate meals for all the different people. And so I was like, shoot, they're gonna say vegan and he's gonna like think I'm gonna be one of those people that's
Yeah.
gonna like
And I think you
confront
know
him on
that
it. And I was like,
yeah.
no.
I'm also open-minded about the vegan stuff too. Like I told you, like I feel like if there's a good sourcing of ingredients, you can be vegan and be good for the earth, good for your body. It's just a matter of finding
Yeah.
those foods. Yeah.
Well, and again, like it's a personal choice. Like if somebody like you like wants to have a conversation with me about it, I love talking about it because
Mhm.
it is a part of who I am in a sense. But I also am fine never talking about it if somebody doesn't want to. Like, it's
Yeah.
not, I don't know. I don't like when people make something their whole personality. I think that's
Yeah.
dangerous.
The
Like, your
identity.
identity shouldn't ride on just one thing.
Yeah, I agree. I found a person in Nairobi, my Uber driver, like he was my wingman. We just
Yeah.
approached my waitress and he was like saying, "My friend really thought you were beautiful and could he have your number?" And then I stepped in because I didn't want him to do all the work. I wanted to show no fear. So I was just like, "Yeah, I thought you were very beautiful and if I could get your number." She gave me her number and we just kind of like hooked up. It wasn't like I'm like with this person right now, but
Yeah.
I just got experience.
Have you talked to her since?
Yeah, it's funny. Our conversations are funny. They're a little bit like just sexual, but it's not
Yeah.
yeah, they're not like it's we have a very good balance where I can now visit her and we can just be together for a few days and it's not like we're serious about it. Yeah.
That's
I
really
can't
sweet.
I can't even like fathom what happened on this trip because I'm not like good with girls usually. I
Yeah.
was just trying to be like respectful, be myself and yeah, it was a
You were
learning.
such a trooper because we didn't even have a male professor.
Yeah,
So it was just you and like 19 women.
yeah. But I that's why I talked a lot with the Maasai men and became close with a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I needed to talk to guys just to talk about guy stuff,
Sure.
like
Sure.
which
That's
is
fair.
the most simple stuff in the world, you know. It's
Yeah.
like I got bit by the scorpion once and this is what I had to do and it was
Yeah.
gnarly, like those type of conversations. Um,
It does show too, like just how unique our group. Like I don't know. It just was really, it was just a great group.
yeah.
I feel a lot of gratitude for that
Yeah,
whole trip.
same here. Reached the end of my bullet points, but
Perfect. Okay.
oh
Thanks for
well,
talking with me. This is exciting.
yeah, this was very fun. There's one more bullet point actually. It was just I wanted to talk about Ireland, and since you have Irish roots, have you visited recently or
I went last summer and then 10-ish years before that. So I've been twice.
okay, you've been there
Yeah, the
twice.
first
Okay,
time was like 2 weeks, and the second time was about 9 days.
okay, I see. Nine and so it was like just you or you're staying with family there?
The first time I went and we explored like all of Southern Ireland. So we drove from Dublin and we hit everywhere, like
Mhm.
Killarney, Galway, Dingle, Kerry, like you name it. We like
Yeah.
did the whole Southern Ireland and that was really cool. We
Okay.
had like a few main stops. And then the second time I went, maybe 18 of us in total, and we just stayed in Dingle like almost the whole time.
I was gonna like ask if you go to Ireland, if I could like join you up there or something because
Yeah.
I really want to visit Europe and I've never been to Europe. Because if I
Yeah. I
do
think you would love Ireland because there's so much farming.
go with an actual Irish person, it's so much more immersive. We could go to the places where I probably couldn't go as comfortably if it was just me, you know?
I think you'd be surprised. Ireland loves like Americans and tourists and loves anybody that likes Ireland.
Okay,
Like,
gotcha.
I think you would be welcomed in everywhere
Okay.
off the bat because you're so friendly and like genuinely want to get to know people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do. I
we
do.
would love you in
When I enter, let's say, a bar and I'm alone and everybody in the bar is like already in their conversations, I'm a little bit like my introvert comes out and I'm like, what do I even do? You know?
Yeah.
So it would be cool. It would be cool if you plan to go there. I would
Yeah,
be up for it.
definitely. I'll let you know. Next year I'm going to Patagonia and then 2026 I'm going to Iceland.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. So I have my
Those two are
next two
both
like big trips planned.
and you're done with You got no more EEs, right? Because this was your third.
Yeah. I might do another one though.
Okay. Like
I just really like
Cali.
them.
Yeah. They're worth it. Yeah. I wanted
You have
to
one more?
I have one more to graduate and then I'll see. I also am considering doing like four EEs, but we'll see because it's also like kind of taxing the pace that they set and everything. I think it's worth it though because of the relationships you forge with the people
Yeah.
you work with. Yeah.
And like you're really in the culture where like most tourists don't get to get that involved and have those like in-depth of conversations.
Hmm.
But where do you think you're going to go next year?
I want to go to either Mongolia or Namibia or the
Nice.
Amazon. See, it's like too many, but
I know.
Mongolia is leading right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Amazon is a place like Western Amazon, not the Brazil EE. Because
Yeah.
Brazil EE was the Atlantic forest. The Peruvian Amazon is a place I've heard so much about, just mainly because of Paul
Hmm.
Rosalie. I read Paul Rosalie's book, and that's why I want to do the Amazon. But I also want to do Mongolia because I've never been to that part of the world, like Mongolia, that landscape, that culture. So I feel like I would grow the most if I went to
Yeah.
Mongolia. Because I've already now been
I'm
to.
friends with a guy that was the CLL for Mongolia for like several years, and he spoke really highly of it.
Okay. Yeah, Mongolia and then Namibia. But Namibia is just like Mongolia, I would be in a totally different place, whereas Namibia is still Africa, and I've just come back from
Yeah.
Africa. I feel like to get the
I
most out of
also
it.
like I've heard very mixed things about the Namibia trip.
Oh, it's not the best, or
I don't know. It might be something that you might like. I know that they talk about things that were hard for some people. They talk about trophy hunting for sure. So that's a big
oh,
part of it.
because
And
it prevent it. Okay.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't
And then
like
I
trophy hunts.
know like the cheetah conservation, there was just some things that like people I've just heard mixed reviews, but I don't know. I always kind of take mixed reviews as like a grain of salt because I think some people don't handle adversity as well.
Yeah,
And so like I'm always like, well, is that just like you not allowing a different viewpoint versus like it really was terrible? So I'm not sure. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes because my main thing is to make money off my YouTube channel to where I can just be a freelancer and I can connect to people and then I travel where I want, record footage, come back. And there's also internships I'm considering just for experience, like a 2-week internship in the heart of the Amazon, because I
Yeah.
feel like that would be crazy, a crazy amount of experience. The Western
That'd be cool.
Amazon. Yeah, so those are the things I'm considering, but I'm mainly focused on videos, creating videos, finishing up this documentary, and then starting to produce those YouTube videos where I'm outside talking about food, kind of like Paul Saladino does, and
Hmm.
try to make those work. There's a video idea I have where it's like how I lost 45 pounds by eating only natural foods. And it's like a half and half split image of when I was at my
Yeah.
biggest and me when I'm like really at my top physique. And I know that will get the click for sure. And
Yeah.
then after it gets the click, if I deliver throughout the video, the algorithm will just keep pushing it. So if I can make that work, that's like my main priority before I
Yeah.
do like these internships and stuff, because that's more money out from my pocket. So I'm trying to find a way to make money to do these things.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. If somebody would just pay me to travel, if somebody would pay me to do these EEs, that would
Yeah.
be like, I'd be set. I'd be like, yep, it's great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's about it. So
all right.
yeah, sweet.
Well, thanks. And if you ever like want to do a follow-up someday, let me know. I know you
Yeah.
have a lot of people to interview first.
Yeah, a lot of people to
And
interview and just like to call you, would you be okay with that? Like if you just want to
yeah,
talk? Yeah, because I feel like
yeah,
the whole podcast thing seems like this is work and
yeah,
I want to separate work from just friends and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. My whole life is long distance friendship, so call anytime.
Okay, for sure, Eileen. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. This was great. I'll try to edit it and then I'll send it to you. And then I guess if You can watch
I'll
it.
feel too weird even watching it, so I just trust you. You can, I mean,
Okay,
you can still
gotcha.
send it to me, but I trust, use whatever you think is useful.
Okay, awesome. I'll stop recording right now.